And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Satellite imagery showing a weakening front coming eastward here across the Bering Sea. With a lot of clouds and a little bit of light rain into the Adak-Atka area there. Another mass of clouds with a disturbance in the Chukchi Sea. They're pushing gusty winds and rain into the northwest part of the state here, especially Kivalina up to about Point Lay, with gusty winds and some light rain all the way down into the Bering Strait. About a quarter of an inch falling at Point Hope and Cape Lisburne today, with winds gusting 40 to 50 miles an hour associated with that. A lot of sunshine here with the southwest interior that extends actually into the central areas up into the Brooks Range and the eastern North Slope. And a lot of clouds and showers here with weak low pressure in the Gulf of Alaska. That pattern extending into the Aleutians there. You can see some clouds here streaming right up to the southwest coast there. That'll keep the shower activity going, mostly over the northern areas as it stays dry down to the south. And then here's the cloud shield with the next big system. Will be coming up later tomorrow and on Thursday. Tomorrow and tomorrow night, actually. Otherwise, the front just coming onto the chart there, way down to the south. Otherwise, we had this low in the Gulf of Alaska, keeping a lot of shower activity today. Slowly diminishing, though, getting some clearing over south central Alaska in areas. But showers persisting, Kenai Peninsula into the Copper River Basin areas up to the eastern Alaska Range. And the northern Panhandle shower activity, but dry down to the south. And gusty winds and rain, as I mentioned, up here to the northwest with that low center up over the Chukchi Sea. And this weak front tonight will continue to drag eastward slowly, bumping up against this high pressure area that's centered just north of the eastern Aleutians and ridging up into the interior, keeping it mostly clear with light winds and definitely dry conditions here. It'll extend all the way up to the eastern Arctic coast as this area of gusty winds and rain slides eastward, extending all the way down into possibly the Selawik Valley northward to the Arctic coast. And scattered showers slowly diminishing and trying to end here over the southeast interior and the North Gulf Coast. This system coming northward there, still not getting into Kodiak Island yet. Weak trough keeps some showers over the northern panhandle, but tomorrow afternoon that starts to affect Kodiak with increasing wind and increasing rain late in the afternoon, especially tomorrow evening, overnight tomorrow night. Isolated showers over the mountainous terrain in the afternoon now, with some clearing here for Cook Inlet, Manauskas-Sitna Valley, Kenai Peninsula, Copper River Basin. Still mostly cloudy with isolated to scattered shower activity for the North Gulf Coast. And starting to see some increasing chances of rain with that warm front there into the central coast of the Panhandle. Out to the west, this system keeps gusty winds and rain going over the northern Bering Sea, St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait. And right up to the northwest coast there, as this area slowly shifts eastward. So a pretty wet day for the North Slope and Arctic coast tomorrow. A little bit of a break in between those two systems around Wainwright there to maybe Point Lay. This system down here to the south pushes more rain into the Pribilof Islands, extending down to the eastern and central Aleutian areas, spreading into Nikulski and eventually into an Alaska Island. And then for Wednesday, everything shifts eastward here and weakens, but it'll produce an area of rain and clouds here for the western interior areas all the way up to the western Arctic coast. Partly to mostly sunny for the northeast part of the state, all the way down probably into the Tanana Valley, with increasing winds here across south central Alaska, especially along the North Gulf Coast. Good gale force winds actually into Prince William Sound on Wednesday, with 35 to 40 knot winds here, 35 to 45 knot winds to the North Gulf Coast into the Barren Islands. Rain heavy at times with this from Kodiak Island, all of the North Gulf Coast. Lighter amounts of rain, but with that warm front into the northern Panhandle and likely staying dry down to the south. For the lows tonight, 40s to near 50 for the southeast coast. Another frosty morning here over the eastern interior. Another frosty morning tomorrow morning for the eastern interior. Otherwise, much milder as you get into the central part of the state, into the near 40 and then into the 40s out toward the Bering Sea. Pretty mild night for the North Slope and Arctic coast. 40s all the way down to Bristol Bay. 40s across southern Alaska. Highs tomorrow into the 60s central interior. Warmest looks like it'll be around the McGrath-Nikolai area, mid-60s there, and then lower 60s into Bristol Bay, and lower 60s also here for the Manassas to sit in the valley. Some areas could reach the mid 60s, and 58 to 63 for the Copper River Basin, and about that same temperature pattern in store for the southeast coast. And from there for the lows, everybody now out of the 20s and into at least the 30s for the eastern and northern areas here. Closer to 40 for the Arctic coast, and even warmer on the west side there, lower 40s down into St. Lawrence Island, and mid to upper 40s for the Pribilofs and the Aleutians, with mostly 40s to near 50 here across southern Alaska as well as the southeast coast. And then the highs warming up here, mid 60s for the southern panhandle, although with the rain and clouds coming into the northern areas, upper 50s there, and then 60 to 65 for the eastern interior areas, and 50s back to the west. North Slope, upper 50s, maybe some 60s showing up there, with 50s out to the Arctic coast. Mid 50s Kodiak Island, near 60 Bristol Bay, and the Aleutians in the lower to mid 50s.